And then the rumor mill has been a churnin'. There are definitely wild whispers this week, and they're getting around and getting loud, it would seem. First up, the biggest mutant franchise out there, going to make some very interesting changes. We have two opposing rumors about what exactly those changes are going to be. Keeping in the Marvel thing, the MCU just might be unloading a whole lot of stuff at Comic-Con this year, and we have some possible details as to what that might be. And then rounding out this little tease at the beginning, we have another Spider-Man thing to talk about, possible casting and also character announcement, if they are to be believed. This is the rumor mill, so grab your salt shakers and DUBBY, but don't mix the two because that's gross, and let's get into it.
Maybe. It's classified.
Welcome, nerds, to the Clips channel. This is the reason why I'm convinced most people watch The Week in Nerddom as a whole. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, over on the main channel, Generally Nerdy, this is a small portion of the main show that I do on that channel called The Week in Nerddom. We talk about movie news and gaming news and comic books and so on and so forth. And we talk about the rumor mill as well, which, you know, that's why you tuned in, because you want to hear all of the juicy gossip as to what's going to be happening in the pop culture sphere of things, comic book movies, comic books, etc., etc. We get into every aspect of the nerddom here as it pertains to what is rumored to be happening, or we're going to kill some rumors, or we're going to shoot some stuff down based on the weakness of the person who is leaking the information, the rumor monger, if you will. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's jump into the rumor mill, shall we?
Why do I get the impression you forgot to push the subscribe button? I mean, it's free, so go ahead and do that, and, yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks. We'll get back to the show now. Okay, bye.
Right, so news sources, we don't have any confirmations or refutations, but we do have news sources. First up, news source on old rumor, we have the return of the race swapping rumors for the X-Men. So news sources are now saying that Professor X and Magneto are going to be black in the upcoming mutant saga. This very likely means we're going to be ditching the concentration camp backstory for these two characters, should this be accurate. Also, it goes on to say that this very well could be what Denzel is talking about when he's talking about being cast in a Marvel movie. So we don't do percentages on news sources, we only do percentages on new rumors. So let's get into that. First up, we're going to be revisiting the whole X-Men thing, but we're not there yet. First up, we're talking about Spider-Man. We have one big one. It's kind of two in one, but we're going to treat it as one. We have casting potential announcements, again, if the rumor mill is to be believed, in Yeun and Sarah Snook. You'll recognize Sarah Snook. She was in Succession. She was the daughter. She was great. They have been cast as the villains, according to the rumors. Only one of them is potentially known, according to this particular rumor, in that Stephen Yeun, is likely going to be playing Mr. Negative. I like Yeun. He's great. He's Walking Dead. He's pretty awesome. Anyway, he's also invincible. Come on now. So that's interesting. No potential role has been announced for Sarah Snook. So on this one, honestly, this is a little bit hopeful because the source on this is got a really mediocre average for the last little while. So, but again, hopeful casting, I think we're going to go about 60%, and that's probably generous for the casting here. We will be able to confirm this when the movie gets announced. Anyway, next up, let's return to the MCU. We have two rumors here for the MCU. The first of which, it has to do with San Diego Comic-Con this year, and a new rumor source that has been kind of going crazy in the rumor mill is saying that at San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel is going to be announcing a couple of movies that people are very uncertain if they're actually going to exist, and those movies are 5th Thor movie, 3rd Doctor Strange movie, as well as a 3rd Avengers movie. Yes, I know, not 3rd in the grand scheme of things, just 3rd in the doomsday scheme of things. So they're going to be announcing that Secret Wars is actually going to be split into 2 movies. Something that kind of makes sense because the filming would add up. Marvel is really dumping a lot of money into this. There's going to be a whole ton of cameos in that movie. Like, it just freaking makes sense. But the thing that really shoots this rumor in the leg is the 5th Thor movie. Like, potentially we will be getting a 3rd Doctor Strange movie, but are we really getting a 5th Thor? Really? I don't think, and that is the death blow. So I think it's going to be a generous 50%, but we're going to say 50% that these 3 movies are going to be announced at San Diego Comic-Con. The other 2 movies, Doctor Strange 3 and a 3rd Avengers movie in this Doomsday Saga, that seems a little bit more likely. The most likely is the Doctor Strange situation. 5th Thor movie, though, if it was just that, I'd put it at like 20%. It's not just that, though, so we're going to say 50% likely. All right, and then the other MCU rumor. This one's big, and it's going to lead to a speculation segment later, but Feige is reportedly looking to cast Daniel Day-Lewis, Bryan Cranston, Cynthia Erivo, and Patrick Schwarzenegger, I can say that last name, in new roles for the MCU. And then also the Cavill rumor has returned, but for the Wolverine. So Daniel Day-Lewis is reportedly being eyed for Magneto, Bryan Cranston for Professor X, Cynthia Erivo as Storm, and Patrick Schwarzenegger as Cyclops. So the rumor does go, a different rumor monger is who chimed in and elaborated on this because they heard something similar, but they heard a little bit more in that Feige is not actually looking to cast Daniel Day-Lewis and Bryan Cranston and these guys in these roles. He specifically is looking to cast those type of people. So that caliber of actor in these roles. I don't know if I would necessarily put Cynthia Erivo in the same category as Daniel freaking Day-Lewis, but that's kind of, he's putting it out into the universe, if you will, according to the second rumor monger. So it's not exactly that he wants these people in these roles, though I think in the case of Cynthia Erivo, she has said she wants that role. She's kind of an it actor right now, like kind of big in the scene, as it were, so that one probably is potentially likely. Same thing goes for Patrick Schwarzenegger. Like, he's kind of coming up because of the whole White Lotus thing and a couple other things that he's done recently. So, but the big question marks here are Daniel Day-Lewis and Bryan Cranston. We're going to talk about this honestly in just a minute, so I'm not going to ruin that. But the likelihood for these, because we know from the other rumor monger that this is not actually casting announcements, this is just telling people the direction they want to take these things. I'm going to say 30% likely that all of these actors have been cast or will be cast in these roles. All right, nerds, our May sale is up. We do have our special shirt for May. I know it's only 2 weeks, but that's the way the last one went too. So that's the way this one's going to go. Although the shirt was up a little bit longer than the sale was active. So, and I will put on screen what the code is to get your discount because I haven't decided exactly what it is, but by the time this episode goes up, it will be active. But we do have our May shirt. It is Metal Nerd. I am a metal nerd. And so anyone else out there who joins me in that celebration, you now have a shirt that you can show the whole world your true metal nerd colors. So go check out. Actually, we're going to have 3 different metal nerd shirts. Only one of them is active right now, but throughout the course of this 2 weeks, I will have all 3 of them up. So go check out the store. Again, link in the description. You can go do that. I'm super pleased with the way these shirts are turning out. So go check them out, go buy one. That is our sponsor, I guess, for this. So now let's jump back into the news. That is what we have for new rumors. Let's get into the speculation, all right? So speculative, it's not really speculation, I guess. It's more random thoughts about this direction that Feige is trying to take the MCU. I don't want Daniel Day-Lewis to play Magneto. I don't really want Bryan Cranston to play Professor X either. I don't think that Cranston is the guy that can bring... He's a great actor. I think Bryan Cranston is an amazing actor. And I also think that Daniel Day-Lewis, I can say that without marbles in my mouth, is one of the best actors of all time. But with that kind of notoriety comes an expectation for the projects that they take. Daniel Day-Lewis has retired. So like, I really feel like we're very, very limited in the likelihood that he is going to be returning for a comic book movie. He'll return to act in his kids' movie. That's fine. That's expected. He's a proud parent and doing things to support his children. That's fine. But a Marvel movie, not bloody likely. Though, again, if we're going for that caliber of actor, not a lot of other actors fall into that category. So if we're looking for somebody with a Daniel Day-Lewis kind of gravitas, I don't think that that is going to do well in the MCU, because the MCU as it stands right now, as we're going to be introduced to these characters in this big event movie, it's not going to lend itself well to the performance for these giant actors, because, I mean, I know Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen are huge actors in and of themselves, but that was a different situation by many counts. So we're just gonna, maybe we'll come back to that. But as it stands right now, that's kind of where that sits. That was a completely different situation. That was a much smaller scale. There was a lot more time to focus on the abilities of those actors. With the size and scope of the Marvel Cinematic Universe as it is, you do not have time for nuanced performances. Exactly. Like, yes, nuance is always good for a live action movie. You always need to see that kind of stuff, but the kind of nuance and gravitas that actors of that caliber would bring to this would require them to be the focus of the movie the entire time, effectively. Like, they need to be one of the two leads. And in a Marvel movie that is going to be as gigantic as probably they're going to be coming out in Secret Wars, as gigantic as Secret Wars, there's no way we're going to be able to appreciate them as an actor. It will be very, very much them showing up for a paycheck. And I think we owe it, as artists, we owe it to these actors to give them the platform to create their art. And this is not that. I love Marvel movies. I think Marvel movies are great. I think it takes a certain kind of not necessarily world-class actor in order to fully appreciate the over-the-top nature of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I just don't think that we'd be doing the art form of cinema any sort of good deeds or any favors or anything like that if we bring somebody with the gravitas, the elevation of Daniel Day-Lewis. Bryan Cranston is a different situation. If we're going for, if we're using this as our metaphor, if we're using this as our theoretical, then Bryan Cranston is, I think it's just not, like, I think Cranston could do, maybe, probably not even Magneto. I just feel like his energy is too dark for Professor X, but also it feels a little more chaotic. And this is probably going because my biggest frame of reference for him is Malcolm in the Middle, because I still haven't finished Breaking Bad, but he feels a little bit more chaotic. He feels a little bit more all over the place. Again, he's a great actor. Fantastic, like one of the best. His daughter actually is in The Pit, which is a great show. Go watch it. Anyway, but again, one of the best actors. Just, I feel like his energy is incorrect for the role of Professor X. So if we're looking for somebody with Cranston energy to play Professor Xavier, I think we've missed the mark again. Again, the thoughts on Cynthia Erivo and Patrick Schwarzenegger, whatever. Henry Cavill would be fantastic as Wolverine, but honestly could probably only do it for about 8 years before he wanted to move on, maybe aged out of the role, etc., etc. So I don't think that's going to stick. I think we will see him as Wolverine at least one more time. I've already said that on the channel before, but I just don't think he's the long-term 616 Wolverine. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I know it's a little rambling. I think that if that's the way we're trying to redirect, that's an overcorrection, I think, is the long and the short of it. But that's what we have for the Rumor Mill this week, nerds. Thank you very much, nerds, for tuning in. If you want to level up your nerdy, geeky, pop culture knowledge, then don't forget to subscribe and do all of the things. Go check out the main channel, Generally Nerdy, for the larger portion. Again, you get all of the sections into one convenient video over on Generally Nerdy. The name of the show is The Week in Nerddom. Thank you for checking out this clip. We will see you next time. Before we go, though, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.